civil litigation workshop. This week basically I shall be looking at execution. So when we talk about execution, we mean that you have a judgment in your favor and you want to enjoy the fruits of a judgment. So basically that's what we shall be looking at as far as this module is concerned. And this module are introducing students to judgments, rulings, extractions of orders, extraction of decrees, execution process and enforcement of orders and judgments. So basically we shall look at a judgment. Basically judgments under order 21 of the civil procedure rules, execution under order 22 of the civil procedure rules. It's one of the longest orders in the CPR. Execution process, we shall look at basically how do we execute and enforcement of orders and judgments. So a decree is always extracted from a judgment, and an order is basically what the courts are ordering, the remedies that courts give. So week's learning outcomes. By the end of this module, students will be able to explain execution process in civil litigation, illustrate execution process in civil litigation, draft appropriate documents relating to execution process in civil litigation, and recognize and deal with issues relating to execution process in civil litigation. So basically this week we are looking at execution and different modes of execution as are provided for in order 22 of the civil procedure litigation. Workshop 1, the workshop covers execution proceedings against natural persons and artificial private business organizations. So when we talk about natural persons, we mean ordinary person, me and you, we are natural persons. Artificial persons, we mean companies and other entities which have a personal legal capacity. So it will expose the students to common modes of execution, property, goods, liable to an attachment and sale, and due process to follow. So by the end of this module, students will be able to 1. Explain execution process in civil litigation, illustrate execution process in civil litigation, draft appropriate documents relating to execution process in civil litigation, and organize and deal with issues. So on 14th April 2025, Linus Gumosha will obtain judgment in HCC number 117 of 2025 against Relay Benefits Limited, defendant for the following order. So the plaintiff is awarded the sum of 113 million being unpaid salary arrears. General damages 14 million is awarded to the counterclaimant. Plaintiff is awarded punitive damages of Garnishing 14 million. Plaintiff is awarded interest in outstanding decretal sum in one above at a rate of 18% per annum from date of judgment until payment in full. So basically when we talk about the decretal sum, we mean the total sum of the judgment. So plaintiff is awarded interest in general and punitive damages above a rate of 18% per annum from the date of judgment, and the costs of the suit shall be borne by the defendant. Thus, he advised him on the rights available to his company in the circumstances. So first and foremost, we can see it's a company, and so we can see that on 14th April, Linus Gumosha obtained judgment in HCC against the Relay Benefits Investments Limited, defendant for the following order. So you can say an individual has a judgment against the company. So task 1 advised him on the rights available to his company in the circumstances. So when we see from these facts, we can see Linus Gumosha obtained judgment on HCC number 117 of 2025 against Relay Benefits Investments Limited for the following orders. Task 1 advised him. So I think we're advising Linus Gumosha the rights available to his company in the circumstances. So basically it has to enjoy the benefit of his judgments. So we can see that under Unique Holdings Limited versus Business Trust Limited, could state that the execution is a process of enforcing or giving effect to the judgment of the court, and it is completed when the judgment creditor gets the money or other thing awarded to him by the judgment. So basically here, the rights he has is to proceed and execute. And we can see that in unique holdings, court is saying that execution is a process of enforcing or giving effects to the judgment of the court, and is completed when the judgment creditor gets the money or other things awarded to him by the judgment. So under section 30, a decree may be executed either by the court which passed it, or by the court to which is sent for execution. The procedure under Order 22 Rule 8 states that execution applications must be in writing, and the application must meet the formal requirements in a tabular form. So basically, when we talk about a tabular form, we mean that application which is in the civil procedure rules, that when you're applying for execution, you proceed by a tabular form. So basically here, the only way the remedies available is proceed and execute, and then he enjoys the benefits of the what? Of the judgment. The viable mode is to recover the fruits of the judgment from the judgment debtor. We have a lot of modes of execution under section 38 of the Civil Procedure Act, to include by delivery of any property specified, by attachment and sale, attachment of debts, by arrest and detention, by appointing or a receiver, and in any other such manner as court may deem fit. In any such manner as court may deem fit. So basically, those are the modes of execution under section 38, which we shall also be looking at. One, we have attachment, arrest and detention, attachment and sale, among others. And the steps, procedures to be taken to initiate the process of recovery of the amounts due under the judgment. So here the procedure steps under section 25 of the Civil Procedure Act provide that after the case has been heard, court shall pronounce a judgment and the decree shall follow. So the first one is to obtain a judgment and extract a decree, prepare and file a bill of costs, serve the decree or costs and demand letter on judgment data, apply for execution, court issues execution order, issuing process for execution, and then enforcement of the execution by the bailiff and sale of attached property. So basically here we shall be discussing the procedure steps for carrying out an execution. So it basically what matters now is what are we going to be selling. So then you can proceed from there and look at execution. Part B, you have further been informed by Linus Gumoshabe that using his informers in town, he has been able to identify the following properties from which she can recover the fruits of her judgments. 1, Busiro Brook 38 at Stende, Busiro Brook in the names of Lile Benefits, Toyota Land Cruiser, Brook 398 at Gomba. Task 2, advise Linus on the property if any that is alive for execution. So first and foremost, here we have to look at this property and who owns it. Brook Busiro at Stende in the names of Owendo Tom, the managing director of the judgment data. So basically, you know that under the principle of personal law, that the company is distinct from its directors. So this basically means that you cannot sell the property of the director. If you have a judgment against the company, then Busiro Brook is in the names of the Benefits Investments Limited. This means this one can be sold, can be executed on, because in the names of the company. Toyota Land Cruiser in the names of the company, that one can also be sold or executed on. Then land in the names of Boya James, that one cannot be executed on because it's not in the names of the company. Of course, we have the case of Imelda Nasanga versus Stanbic Bank. Justice Okere stated that the only sellable property that belongs to the judgment data or is held in trust on their behalf. So basically, you can only sell or attach the property of the judgment data. You can't come and attach the property of a third party. So the property, if any lie of execution, we looked at that property which is in the names of the company. The process or procedures for recovering money in the above properties. So basically here, now that we know that this is immovable property, we have to proceed under Order 22 Rule 10 of the Civil Procedure rules, which show that if an application is made for the attachment of any immovable property, it shall contain a description of the property sufficient to identify it. Order 22 Rule 11 provided where an application is made for an attachment of any land which is registered in the land registries, the court may require the applicant produce certified extracts from the register of titles. So basically that's how we're going to be going about it. We shall properly identify that land, and then after identifying land, then we can proceed to apply, have it executed on. We also have a car. So the way we can execute on a car, we can see under Order 22 Rule 40 provided for attachment of movable property other than agricultural produce in possession of judgment debtor. We can go and seize it and then bring it to the custody of the person. Under Order 20 Rule 64 provided no sale shall be taken place until after the expiry of 15 days. Order 22 Rule 70 provided where movable property is sold by public auction, the price of each lot shall be paid at the time of the sale. So basically here we shall be looking at process of attachment of movable property, which is a car. So the next issue was procedure to be followed to recover the judgment debt per facts in part. Yes, so part C, Arena Sugumasha has also got information that Lily Benefits Investments Limited runs a current account in NCB Bank where they deposit their daily sales. It is from the account that their company clears its operational expenses. Lily Benefits Investments Limited has 500 shares in MTN Uganda. Thus should advise Peter James on the judgment creditor's rights in respect of the above facts. So basically here we can see what we can apply, what we call a Garnishee order. So where there is money in the bank, you can proceed to do what we call Garnishing. And the way we proceed by Garnishee is by chamber summons supported by an affidavit. So section 38 provided that execution can be in any form. We also have Order 23 provided the court may, upon the ex parte application of a decree order and upon affidavit by the decree holder, state that a decree has been issued and that it is still unsatisfied. So where there is money in the bank, then we can apply for Garnishee. So we have what we call Garnishee under Order 23 Rule 2 and Order 23 Rule 3. So basically how we are going to apply for Garnishee proceedings, the process before to recover the judgment debt per the facts in Part C to be chamber summons supported by an affidavit for applying for Garnishee. So you have to apply for Garnishee order, which is by chamber summons supported by an affidavit. Then Part D, we are saying that you have also been approached by Mumbere Alfred, who runs Mumbere Construction Limited on Republic Street, Mbari, informs you that he has been supplying construction materials to Mbari Progressive School. Runs as a partnership between Omubende Winston, his wife Joy Nauma, and Turiatunga Timothy. The whole of 2024 did not pay for the supplies to the schools for the construction of the girls' hostel. He made various demands, but nothing was forthcoming. In September 2024, the said Alfred filed a summary suit against the school at the Chief Magistrates Court of Mbari and obtained a default judgment against the defendant with the following orders. 1. Uganda shilling 35 million being the cost of construction materials, interest of 16% per annum, cost of the suit to be paid by the defendant, and Alfred has identified the following properties. So first and foremost, we can see that here we have a school that this Mumbere Alfred, who runs Mumbere Construction, sued the school, which is a partnership. So now we have to understand how do partners relate as far as liability is concerned. Because now the first, his rights in respect of the above default judgment, of course he has the right to enforce the judgment and right to apply for sale and attachment, right to arrest and detention, right to attach property for execution, right to apply for sale of attached property, and right to arrest and detain or appoint a receiver. Those are some of the rights we can see for a judgment creditor. So his rights in the process and procedure for recovering the above monies from the above properties. So first and foremost, when you look at these properties, Chagwe broke at Gamba registered the names of Winston Omobenda. Winston Omobenda is one of the partners, and you know that partnerships have unlimited liability. It basically means that if the work was done in the course of the business, then the individual property of the partners can be attached. Then motor vehicle Toyota MX registered in the names of Tuliatunga Timose. Tuliatunga Timose is also a partner. So it basically means that this car can also be attached because partners enjoy unlimited liability once it was in the course of business. Furniture, computers, and reading books. This is tools of trade. So these tools of trade cannot be attached. School van is registration number registered in the names of Jennifer Coty. Jennifer Coty is not a partner, therefore this property cannot be attached. So basically we can attach the Chagwe broke and the motor vehicle broke because under partnership they enjoy unlimited liability. The process and procedure for recovering the above monies from the above properties identified. These are movable properties. So basically we have to go back and discuss the process of attachment of movable properties under Order 22, Rule 70. Provide for attachment of movable property other than agriculture produce in the position of a judgment debtor. Actual seizure is made and the attaching officer shall keep the property in his or her custody. Order 22, Rule 64 provides that no sale shall take place until after the expiration of 15 days in case of movable property calculated from the date which the public notice of sale has been advertised. So basically, once you have attached a movable property, you have to proceed and issue a notice of sale, and then it has to be by public notice. That's basically how you go about selling movable property. So basically that was it for workshop 1. But in case you need notes or maybe a detailed discussion, you can reach me up on the number in the bio on this YouTube. We are the Pass the Band. We give notes and discussions, and also we make your preparation for oral exams as easier as you can never expect. So please reach up to us in case you need you still have challenges as far as orals are concerned. Then we shall make everything easy for you, because we did it with the first intake and we can do it with you, but at an affordable monthly cost. So workshop number 2. So what you have to understand in workshop number 1, we did it with execution against natural persons and artificial companies. We did it against artificial, execution against partnerships, execution against when the money is in bank. So basically that's what we discussed as far as workshop 1 is concerned. Then workshop number 2, the workshop is intended to expose students to execution proceedings against the government and its agencies such as local government councils. It will also appraise the learners on self-executing orders. By the end of this module, students will be able to explain execution processes in civil litigation, illustrate execution processes in civil litigation, draft appropriate documents relating to the execution process in civil litigation, organize and deal with issues in civil litigation. So assume you're a legal officer employed by Mbale local government. So basically we shall be looking at execution against the government and local government and government entities. The district lost the case against one Ola Omugole, a road contractor who has been making major repairs on the roads in Mbale. The district owes him 435 million. Ola recently received judgment. Is threatening to attach several properties of the district to it: A, land housing, the district headquarters at Mbale City; B, vehicles, Toyota Hilux double cabin by the Minister of Water and Environment; UG, Toyota double cabin bought by the district to boost revenue collection; teachers' salaries, account number on centenary held by the district in which it banks local revenue; and furniture and computers at the district headquarters. So first and foremost, what you have to understand is when executing against the local government, 1, you cannot attach all the money received on grant. You cannot attach government money which has been sent from the central government. You cannot attach salaries. So basically here, if you're going to analyze these facts, land housing, the district headquarters at Mbale City, that one you cannot attach it. Vehicles, UGC 34001 Toyota Hilux double cabin by the Ministry of Water, that one cannot be attached. UG Toyota cabin bought by the district to boost revenue, that one can be attached because it was bought by the district. Teachers' salaries cannot be attached. Money at Centenary can be attached. Furniture and computers at the district headquarters, those ones cannot be attached. To advise Omongore on his rights in respect of the judgment and steps he would take in order to address their interests in view of the above assets of the district, and in addition information needed in order to effectively manage the process of recovery. So basically here we shall look at the process of execution against the government, and it's governed by the Local Government Act. Section 6 provides that no attachment can be made against the local government before the lapse of 6 months. And of course, we have the case of Kamwenje local government versus Kabas, which emphasized that. So extract the decree from the judgment under Order 21 Rule 6, and then prepare the bill of costs and serve the certificate of costs and decree the judgment data. So basically, once you have understood that you have to wait for 6 months, the execution remains the same as the one for natural individuals. That's what you have to understand. So where there is any additional information needed, first and foremost, you have to understand the source of this, these funds. For example, now furniture and computers at the district headquarters. We need to know the sources of some of this money, because like I have told you, some money cannot be attached. For example, money from the central government cannot be attached. Because then it's going to help us. Also have to know the date of the judgment. When was the judgment delivered, for us to wait for the 6 months. But also understand about the local government, you have to wait for the elapse of the 6 months as per section 2(6), as per section 6 subsection 2 of the Local Government Act. Then task 2, advise Omongore on the procedures you will take to manage the recovery processes. So to manage the recovery process, of course, in order to effectively manage the recovery of the decreased sum, I would need to follow the following additional information. We looked at that. What procedure we have to take? It's the same procedure as the ones for natural persons. Extract a decree judgment, prepare bill of costs, serve the certificate of costs to the judgment data, then make an application for execution and bailiffs. Then after that, bailiff have to advertise the property, and then after that the bailiff can proceed and sell. So it's the same procedure like the one we looked at, except that here you only have to wait for the you have to wait for the 6 months to elapse. The documents shall have a decree, application for execution, and notice to show cause. Application for execution is in tabular form. Notice to show cause is if the judgment has elapsed more than 1 year. That's when you need a notice to show cause. So from there we have part B. Assume judgment was passed High Court Commercial Division against the Attorney General in favor of Between the Properties Limited in respect of the contract it had with the Ministry of Finance to design the refurbishment of the ministry headquarters in Kampala. The company was awarded 2.6 billion with interest of 15% from the date of default. Your client has informed you that the Petroleum Fund account with the Bank of Uganda has billions of money which can be used to clear the decreted sum. Tasks advise the managing director of Between the Properties on what remedies are available for the company, procedure, draft the necessary documents, and assume you have to take all the necessary steps, but the Minister of Finance officials are adamant and refusing to pay. What action will you take in the circumstances? So here we can see that we are executing against the government. We're executing against the government. So we have looked at execution against the local government, and we are saying that except for you waiting for 6 months, the process remains the same. But when you're executing against the central government, we can see that the procedure somehow varies. So under Section 9 of the Government Proceedings Act provided for satisfaction of orders against the government. under Article 250 of the Constitution provides where a person has a claim against the government that claim may be enforced as a right of proceedings taken against the government for that purpose. So basically here we have to under Regulation 15 and Order 22 of the Civil Procedure Rules doesn't apply in execution proceeding against the government. Then have the case of GCI Investments Limited, where you cannot just no ministerial department has any ready funds at all times to satisfy its decree or judgment. So basically you don't execute against the government like the way we execute against private individuals, and the rationale is because now the government will be paralyzed. So the procedure basically here, when you are executing against the government, you have to extract, after judgment has been passed, you extract a decree. Then successful party shall draft a decree which must correspond to the orders. Then you have to apply for what we call a certificate of order against the government, and after the expiration of 21 days, then this certificate of order must be served to the Attorney General. Then after you have served this certificate of order to the Attorney General and approved, you can go and serve it to the Permanent Secretary or Minister of Finance for purposes of financing. So basically that's the criteria of executing against the government. You need a certificate of order, serve to the Attorney General, and then after that you proceed and serve it to the office of the Permanent Secretary and Minister of Finance for financing. Then draft the necessary documents. Of course, here we have to get a certificate of order. We have to extract a decree, application for certificate of order, which is a notice of motion and affidavit in support. Then we get a certificate of order. So basically that's how we're going to, the documents we want here is a certificate of order, decree, but the certificate of order we have to apply to a notice of motion supported by an affidavit. So assuming you have taken all necessary steps by the Minister of Finance, adamant and refusing to pay, what action will you take in the circumstances? So basically here you have, there is contempt of court, and also you can apply for mandamus. If there is contempt of court, and you can apply for what we call a mandamus. Then part C, assume Ben Joy successfully applied for judicial review against the decision of Makerere University Council to put him on interdiction following a complaint of sexual harassment by one of female students. The High Court Division gave the following orders: 1. Certiorari, prohibition, injunction, declaration, and costs. As a young lawyer employed in Makerere University Department, prepared a legal opinion to the Vice Chancellor, Makerere University, on how such orders should be treated and whether there is possibility of challenging them. So basically, one thing you have to understand about judicial review orders is that they are self-executing. So, and we have the case of course, Chambo University versus Professor Omoro. The court held that these orders are not capable of being executed in the true sense of the word, and no warrant of execution can be issued to enforce them. There is nothing to stay and effective on the day that they have been pronounced. So basically, these orders are what we call self-executing, but you can only appeal the decision. You can only appeal the decisions, but they are self-executing. So basically, that's what we have to look at this one. This is what we have to be discussing at this one. That judicial review orders are self-executing, and we have the case of Professor Chambogo University versus Professor Isaiah Omoho. That once you have gotten judicial review orders, they are effective from the day they have been issued. So the only thing you have to do is to appeal them, but they are self-executing. So basically that was it. That's what we're going to be looking at once you have understood execution against the government, execution against the local government, execution against natural persons and artificial persons, applying for Garnishee when the money is in bank. Then we shall be good to go. And most importantly, which properties do you execute and which properties don't you execute? So basically that was it. But in case you need to be prepared for oral exams and you still have that fear which we all had, you can contact me on 07567 67284. Because we help students to pass oral exams. And we do that by covering all the works where we started up to the very end. So please, you can make a decision and be part of us. But of course, it comes at an affordable cost of 100,000 per month. But then we shall make the work easier for you. We shall simplify the work for you. And it's really worth it from students who have been part of our program. And also give you notes for all the workshops. We also give you notes for all the workshops and also discuss them and prepare you for the IAs. So that was it for this discussion. I wish you a blessed week ahead. I wish you a happy IA that you pass it. I wish you a good week. And if I can do it, you too can do it. If I can pass the bar, you can pass the bar. Please be blessed.